welcome back to Together We Retail. Thank you all for joining us again. My name is Adelaide Elliott, and I am Gifts and Decorative Accessories Associate Editor. And our next session is going to be all about turning engagement into action. But before we get started on that, I did want to take a brief moment to thank our sponsor, Candle Warmers, and to share a brief message with you all from them.
Aromatherapy meets elegant home decor with the Aromate ultrasonic diffusers and essential oils. Aromate diffusers use ultrasonic vibrations to create a soothing mist of water and essential oils. Made from high-end materials like ceramic, porcelain, glass, and metal, these stylish diffusers are the perfect accent to any room. For more information, visit aromate.com.
All right, and thank you again to Candle Warmers and all of our sponsors, including One Coast, Heart on Main, and Indian Maine. Thank you all again for sponsoring Together We Retail. And now let's dive into our topic and introduce our experts here. So joining us today are Amber Ludeman, founder and partner at Matchstick Social, which is a marketing firm out of Charleston, South Carolina. We also have Jenna Lee, owner and founder of Winton & Waits, which is a cause-driven lifestyle brand and retail store out of Fort Worth, Texas. We've also got Amber Welch, who's the owner and CEO of Amber Marie & Co. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She's another retailer. And then we have Kathy Donovan Wagner, who is a founder and president of independent consulting retail coaching company, Retail Mavens. So thank you all so much for joining us. I just wanted to start off by talking a little bit about events. So obviously, if we're talking about engagement for retailers, especially independent retailers, events in store are such an important part of that. Jenna, I know that your make and take classes are huge at Winton & Waits. Could you walk us through a little bit about what makes a successful event for y'all, what that planning is like, how you market those events?
Yeah, sure. So really back in 2019, one of my goals was to be more experiential in my retail store and start connecting people with our brand. And what we found was that when we can connect someone with our brand, they are really just more advocates for us out in the world. They remember who we are, not just that cute shop on Main Street, but they actually remember our name. And so it was important for us. Well, then 2020 happened and nobody was doing anything experiential. So we had a lot of time to figure it out. So our make and take classes originally started by giving people a way to curate their own crowd and get people into the store when people were still a little bit hesitant to do that. But we have kept them going because they have made such an impact. Basically what it is, it's just a class we host one a month and we put that on our website. We're promoting it in store. There's a little QR code for people to sign up. And there is a ticket price associated with it because they're doing some sort of activity in store. We make wholesale products as well, luxury bath products and jewelry. So we focus our in-store events around those things, but then we also host other artists as well to do permanent jewelry or something fun. And so I think part of the success is giving people an opportunity to do something that maybe they wouldn't normally do. And then they can invite friends. They can use it. They can host a private one. They can use it as an event where they're doing like a bachelorette party or a birthday or celebrating something small. And they don't necessarily have to pay for a space to do that. But then the benefit to us is we get 10, 12, 20 people in the store that maybe have never known to shop with us. And all of a sudden they're experiencing our brand. So that benefits us in the end.
And it works. I tell you, Lanice and I went to an event with Winton & Waits at Market, and that's exactly what we did. It just works. Now, speaking a little bit to how you market all of that, can you talk a little bit about how you got the word out? Obviously, a lot of it is word of mouth too, but
yeah, I mean, when you get the ball rolling, it definitely is word of mouth. Basically, the overarching is our email. I mean, just building that email list is so important. And when we send out an email for a class, people kind of know at this point, if it's something they're interested in, they should go ahead and respond. We go ahead and put all 12 classes that we're hosting, the one a month. We go ahead and put those, launch those usually in November, the year prior, which feels like a lot. Like it feels like, oh gosh, how can I even come up? And some say TBD, like in September, we're like, we don't have anybody. So it's just, to be decided. But as many as we can plan, we put on ahead of time, because we've noticed that in December, when people are shopping for things, that giving the gift of experience is a wonderful gift to give. And so we don't want to miss out on that fourth quarter opportunity for somebody to give a gift, even if they're not coming till March to paint their leather dog leash or whatever they're doing. So email campaigns, definitely. Social media, as we get closer, if we still have space in the class, we put it on stories over and over again until we get, and we show, 2 spots left or whatever, who wants these? So we're putting it in front of them, because so many times, including myself, there's a million things that I see that come across my feed or whatever that I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then life happens and that date goes by and I'm like, shoot, I wish I would have remembered. So we just have to remember that people want us. And we actually, our last class this past week, somebody said in the class, thank you for continuing to like reach out and remind us, because I kept trying to remember to book it and then I forgot. And so I think people are appreciative if you are consistently reaching out to give them the opportunity, because that's what it is. It's an opportunity for them that you're investing in, to get them in the store. Again, that's going to come back to you. I'm not interested in doing events just to do events. I mean, I'm a retailer. I want people to shop in my store. That's why we're here. But just having that balance of hosting and also getting them in so they can experience and then shop with you.
Jenna, can I ask you a question about that? Did I understand you to say that you also rent out your store for these events?
That is a good question. So we have just enough space to kind of host. We have like a table. We can have 12 to 15 people if we kind of really maximize all the space that we have. But that is space that we're using during the week for, our jewelry team may be sitting there making jewelry. It's not exclusive to our make and takes. It's just everything gets cleaned up when we know we have a class, and then it's, kind of set aside for them. There's a place for them to put their own food and beverage. If somebody's hosting a private class, we don't provide that or get into that, but we can make suggestions. So we don't necessarily rent out the space.
Oh, right.
You have to be doing some sort of activity, and that activity comes with a price. So for example, if we have an apothecary class where they can blend their own sugar scrubs, that's the one that you did. It's $40 a person, and they get to blend 2 unique blends of scrub to take home with them. We have a bead bar. So we set up all of our fantastic beads, because we also have a line of jewelry and accessories, and they get to make 2 bracelets and unique to them. And I always tell them, our customers and people that are there, the point of doing this, we're not there to like share some technical skill with them. I don't want to be, our concept is not painted with a twist or some kind of thing like that. That's not our concept. We're a retailer, but providing the opportunity for community, providing the opportunity for people to do something creative, which then opens up conversation with the person next to them that they may or may not know. There is something about when you have your hands to something, like what happens with connecting people. It's amazing. It's amazing. People get over their awkwardness instantly, because you don't have to look at somebody and look at their reaction to you or whatever. You're busy. And so we have found that giving, whether we're the ones teaching it or whether we've hosted an artist that did clay jewelry, we've hosted like the leather dog leash, and someone came and showed us how to paint a leather dog leash. We've had floral things, we've had charcuterie things, we've had wine tastings, like all kinds of fun things that connect with products in our store so that people have a reason to purchase, but they don't necessarily mean that we're, teaching everybody how to do these things. It's really about providing community. So the cost of the class should cover the cost of partnering with that artist, or the cost of us providing the items and our staff. And that's it. Like, we don't overcharge on any of that kind of stuff. It's important for us to get them in the door. And it's important for us to give time within that time frame, that it's an activity that they have time to shop.
Yeah.
Get too late, or they don't, waste all of their time doing something that then doesn't benefit us on the back end. And we usually give them a special treat, like some kind of little percentage off or, something for shopping that night. And we always say it's not required. We love that you're here. But we love that you want to shop too. And here's a little treat that you can only use tonight if you shop with us.
Jenna, that's like so crazy creative and something that literally everybody can do. It's funny. I work with a mixture of stores like yours, gift stores and women's stores and like pet stores and stuff, and then also maker stores. And of course, in maker stores, that's very common. Knitting stores will have a table and people come around to knit and stuff, and it promotes such community. And to see a store like yours doing it and showing people how they can do it too so easily, because you have the space, you're paid rent for your entire store. Why not create, and then you don't have any of the stress of also creating the class, like you're bringing in somebody else. That's just genius. And you've been able to hone in on exactly who your customer is. And so that's why they keep coming back. And like you said, it makes them have a whole different relationship with your store. That's just wonderful.
Yeah, thanks. We also we've decided that the one that we choose to host per month, that people can just buy one ticket to or whatever. Now, somebody can plan a private one with us anytime. And then based on staffing, as long as we can staff it, we can do it. And we have minimums for that. So minimums during our open hours is smaller. You can just host 4 people. But if it's after hours, it needs to be a minimum of 8 to 10 people. So we kind of keep to that to make sure that staffing it after hours is actually worth it. But for our one that we host every month, we actually partner, and I've got to listen to some of the group before us. We actually partner with a group in our area, Main Street group, that does an art walk every 3rd Thursday of the month. And so what we realized is I can really maximize my staff, the cost of my staff, if we plan those on the same night. And so I'm paying my staff to be there open 3rd Thursday evening because I want to, be supportive of my community and what they're trying to do and the traffic they're driving. But at the same time, we don't want to just sit there and, wait for people to come in. So we actually are driving our own crowd on that same night. And the cost of that staff being there goes to serve both purposes. I'm supporting my community. I'm in it with them as long as we need to, make this 3rd Thursday fun thing grow. But I'm not just sitting there. We're actually creating something and a reason for people to be in the store. And we're not planning it on 2 separate nights, costing me 2 separate staffs. We just put it at the same night.
Now, speaking to events again, like with that promotion side, Amber, I know at Amber Marie & Co., you guys are huge on the online event side. How do you keep folks coming back when it's online and it's less in-person focused, like we live selling and the things that you all do there?
Well, first of all, Jenna, I think you had some great ideas. I was taking notes. I don't know if you could see me, so I love it. Great ideas. So for the online, I mean, we do in-store and online, but it goes back to exactly what Jenna said, is it's creating that community. It's creating that customer base that is a community. We've just managed to do that on an online community as well. So it's reminding them, when we see people who haven't, we play a Blingo game every month. When we see people who haven't played in a couple of months, then we get on the phone and we call them and we say, hey, and they're like, oh my gosh, I haven't gotten my box yet this month. So it's all about keeping them connected, emailing, social media, all of the same things. But definitely, online, it's hard because well, it's hard, and then it's also an amazing because you have the whole world you can reach out to online and not just limited to your local shoppers. But it's the challenge of keeping your local people engaged and your regional and national shoppers all at the same time, and something that both of them can do together. So yeah, I mean, it's challenging, but it can be done for sure. And we do that through Blingo.
Could you explain to folks just who did not get to see your fabulous acceptance at the REA's award last year what Blingo is?
Sure. So Blingo is we call it Blingo. It's basically a bingo game. So every month we do this. We do it via Facebook Live. For $49.99, our customers get a box, and it's filled with goodies. And we partner a lot with our vendors to try to help us get new products in the box. Usually the box, my cost is somewhere around $15 to $20, just depend on how many products I can get donated from our vendors too. And then we ship it out and we play 9 games and we give away prizes. Each game is a $250 prize. And they play online virtually. So it was something that we started really right after COVID because we noticed how important engagement was and keeping people engaged even when we couldn't be open. And this is our 3rd year anniversary. And actually this September, we've upped the ante. We're giving away $5,000 cash in September. And we just took basically our marketing budget for September, and that's what we're putting our marketing budget towards. So it's going to be pretty exciting. It started out as $3,000, and we're playing a progressive Blingo. So if people keep entering, we started in April, and if they played consecutively April through September, they get consecutive entries into win that $5,000 pot. So it was a way for us to keep people coming back, especially during the summer months. That's the hardest time to keep people engaged, right? Because they've got so much going on. And so we decided to do that through the summer months to try to keep people engaged. And so far it's great. I mean, we just played this last Tuesday, and we've already sold almost half of our boxes for September. So it's going good.
I was going to say, if you have not gotten in on Blingo yet, now is the time, people.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be huge. And it's fun. I mean, people love it. And for us, Blingo isn't, we are a for-profit store, obviously, but Blingo, we don't consider to be a moneymaker. We consider that if we break even, for us, it's all about building that community and advertising. Because we get new people in just from Blingo. People send Blingo boxes to loved ones for different gifts. Sometimes people do office parties for their Blingo nights, girls' night. We have home editions that will get together and play in their clubhouse. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. And that's why we've done it virtually, to be able to bring, people together and communities together. And it's crazy. Those same people that have played for 3 years now, I mean, they're just a really tight knit group. They support one another and pray for one another when needed. And so it's been a really amazing thing to watch grow.
To say it's literally turning into community. You've created a hobby. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is with those Blingo prizes, like we give away really nice things, right? So a $250 prize, each one of them. And we always throw in extra things. So sometimes it becomes more than $250. We can't help it. We just want it to be like, oh, wow, an amazing prize. But then the next day, that item, whatever it was, it always retails. Like we just gave away a Hulken bag this last Tuesday. And the next day we sold 4 because people are like, well, I saw that on Blingo and I couldn't get one. And so it always does help sell the products because people see, and, I can liken it to like a Louis Vuitton bag, right? People want Louis Vuitton bags, I guess, because everybody has them, right? It's one of those things where it's like, well, everybody's wearing them. It must be the popular thing. So we figure that during Blingo, if everybody wants that item, like we give a little online poll and we say, which prize do you want to win? And people will show which prize they want to try to win first. Then it creates that, well, why does everybody like that? I need to go check out and see why everybody wanted to win that prize. What's so great about that prize, for somebody who didn't know already what that item was.
Now, for folks that are like, again, just like Amber, taking notes here, Amber, at Matchstick Social, how would you suggest folks that want to get started on kind of drumming up popularity, that maybe don't have the longer email list, how would you suggest they start on the marketing side, really getting into promoting in-store events or even online events like Blingo, if they're going to copy?
Well, first of all, I think the most important thing is to know your audience or who you're trying to go after, even if you don't already have that audience established. Knowing your woman or man or your community, what they're interested in, what they're reading, what they're ingesting, what their feed looks like, because that's the most important way for you to create content that's actually going to resonate with them. A lot of people assume, especially with retail, because you guys have so many products, it's like, okay, I can just feature product after product after product. And sometimes that works, especially if you have, these very popular items that people want, for sure. But there needs to be personality and there needs to be connection. As you guys have mentioned, you're creating these communities within your audiences in really creative ways. If you're starting from scratch and you don't have that email list of thousands of people to email, I think that throwing a really broad net with some really dynamite content on Facebook advertising. And I say Facebook, but it's really Meta for Instagram, Facebook, and Content Network is super important, especially if you have, for example, if you're in the Dallas region and you know that you want to reach Dallas in the suburbs, then you can start there. Or you can say, hey, I'm looking at my website traffic and I'm identifying 3 of my main markets are Dallas, Houston, Austin. I'll throw a net at each of those markets at my target audience. So that's where it comes into play of like, what are her interests? How often does she shop? What is she spending her money on? What does she want to see? And presenting the content that's going to be the most impactful to her and she'll remember your brand for. And I'm saying she, but it could be anybody.
Now, Kathy, when you're kind of working with folks who are maybe looking to build up new programs or new sources of revenue, like through events, what do you suggest they really start with when they're trying to engage with those audiences, to bring them in online or in person, to make a sale, to come into an event?
It starts with exactly what Amber said too, is that you have to know who your customer is. I mean, the reason why Jenna and Amber are so successful at what they do is that they are honed in on who their customer is. Like, this is what their customer is. And so that's why they've been able to attract all these people. It's incredible. So then, because when you know exactly who your customer is, because that customer, then that impacts the way you message them, the way you're talking to them, the words you're choosing, and as well as the events that you offer. Like, it really does matter. And one of the things that I so love about what Jenna said, is that she offers like all these different, like from jewelry to making clay beads to painting a leather dog leash collar, a dog leash. I mean, like, honestly, that sounds kind of crazy, but the thing is that her people love all that stuff because she knows exactly who they are. I mean, it's just really powerful. And I think the second thing, and this is something that Amber and Jerry do a great job with, is that they're super clear about what their goal is. So they started Blingo because they specifically wanted to become a nationwide brand. They specifically wanted to do that. And so one of their main goals was getting getting more people on their email list, was getting more people involved online with them. And so, because that was what was super important to them. But so I've worked with Amber, so I know a couple of the other tricks she has up her sleeve. And the one other thing I'd love for her to share is that they succeeded. Like, Blingo has turned into this big, huge thing. It's incredible. And that $250, you guys, do not be like scared by that. It's not as if you're giving away a $250 item. Amber, please just share, because the brilliance of this is that Amber, they partner so well with all of their vendors that they're able to get their vendors to help with them, and as Blingo has gotten bigger, people want in on it. Isn't that true, Amber?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's right. The $250 prize, it's not something to be scared of, because if you think about it, what it is in your retail cost, but then also thinking about, I ask my reps, like, when you're done with samples and stuff and you don't want to show them anymore, because your reps have those closets or their garages filled with products. It's not just a single item that we give away. It's like a gift basket of bunches of products that maybe were samples from our reps or something like that they dropped off, and they're like, oh my gosh, please. And they'll say, I've got stuff from 5 years ago. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's maybe old to you, but still to our customers, it still might be new. So yeah, it's very important to partner with your vendors on that. And we have some vendors that are great at partnering and some that never have. So, we just keep asking.
Right. Well, and to what your question was to Amber, the other Amber, about if you don't have a big email list. What I love about what Jenna did is that she also has this opportunity of partnering with her local communities, like her local Main Street organization, as well as those local artists. Those local artists likely have followings too. And so that's another beautiful thing you can do, right, Jenna? I mean, you must encourage them to also share their, so they share that they're going to be at your store, and then I'm sure they post on social media that they're there. Isn't that all true too?
Yes, very, very true. So as many people as you can partner with that are bringing their own crowd, along with you bringing your crowd. And when we host artists, sometimes I try to make it very clear that it is a partnership and that we're both responsible for bringing our crowd and promoting. Because I think one of the hiccups that has happened when we first started doing this is we would host someone in, and of course, pay them for the class or whatever they were doing with us. But if they had art to sell or something and it didn't sell, they would get frustrated because we didn't have enough people or we didn't whatever. And I tell them at the very beginning, this is a partnership. So this is an opportunity for you to showcase what you're doing and who you are and help us sell these spots. It's also an opportunity for our people to learn about you. And so kind of sharing in the responsibility of that, I think is really, really important. One other thing I thought about, if I can share, is also just having, sharing that responsibility with your customers, that everybody has a buy-in. I came from originally graduated with a fashion degree and launched into retail and product development. But then in the middle, I spent about 20 years as a luxury event planner with high net worth clients doing events all over. So everything I do sort of has this like eventing thread to it. I can't get away from it. Obviously, I can't get away from the retail and wholesale because I swung back into that too. But what I realized is I can curate the most amazing event, whether it's around a class or something, or it's just like our Mother's Day event or a girls' night out or something I want to do just to have people in the store. I can curate the most amazing event. But if somebody doesn't have a buy-in to come, I need it to be on their calendar with an alarm set. Like they are not going to miss it. Because I'm going to all the effort and the cost and the whatever to host who I think is coming. The other thing that helps with the buy-in is that you know who's coming. Like if I am planning food and drinks and all that kind of stuff for 50 people and I have 3, well, that stinks. That's a total waste. Or same deal if I'm planning for 50 and I have 100. I don't have enough. So that's a way that I can like communicate. So even if when we do our big Mother's Day event every year, we always have a ticket. And even if that ticket is $5 or if that ticket is free, which it's weird, but a lot of times we charge at least something because when people have to pull out their wallet and spend even $5, it goes on their calendar and they don't forget. But even if it's free, you can use something like Eventbrite or something to do a free event. And we say on there, like you're taking a spot, limited spots available. It's free, but you're taking a spot. And so we've had people that have registered for a free event and then realized they couldn't come. And they're so kind. And they email us and say, hey, we want to make sure that we're not taking somebody's spot. Realize we have this thing that we have to go to and we can't come. So it's just that communication with your customer where they feel connected to what you're doing. And that way, the time that you're spending, the money that you're spending, all of that doesn't go to waste. You know how to plan for those people when they have a buy-in and you know they're coming.
It's so fascinating because our tagline is for more profit and better sleep. Like that's what we help clients do. And I find that people are so eager to do free events, but I agree with you. You should charge for these events because people are more committed then and they come in. And even if you charge it and give some of it back as a gift certificate to them, it doesn't matter. But although I want everyone else to hear is that both of these incredibly smart retailers have said how they at least cover their costs. And that's what I find is another big mistake people make is that they're not covering their costs.
I was gonna say it makes the buy-in a lot less scary for y'all too in all of this. And but I will say I've heard just from talking to other retailers, there is like a real level of like, I guess, fear of rejection from community members. Small businesses get asked a lot to do things for free, to give to Little Johnny's baseball fundraiser or the school raffle. And that's part of being a business and part of being a community, I know. But I will say, Amber and Jenna, have you guys ever had any pushback about like the cost or the pricing? How have you dealt with that?
Well, oh, sorry, go ahead, Jenna.
Yeah, either way, you're right. We get asked a ton to donate to things. We used to donate product, and that was like a physical cost for us. So when we would be asked to donate something, we said, yes, that product was a physical cost. There's still costs associated with it. But when we started doing these make and take classes and offering for people to book their own, now we give away a gift certificate for a class. And what that does is, even though there's costs associated because we have, and we do the things that are in our wheelhouse, they can do a bead bar or a sugar scrub class. But when we do that, we are essentially getting 10 people back into the store that might not have come or known about us otherwise. So it's our best kind of marketing. Instead of our product just going out in the world and they don't really remember where it came from, they got it from XYZ auction. Now they have to actually come into our store. They have to invite their friends. They have to use that gift certificate. And it also garnishes them more. So I could give away $50 or $100 worth of product, but a class is going to get them $400, $500, $600, $700 an experience will at their auction versus, just $100. And we don't have to be paired up with somebody else. We can get that highlighted spot at whatever we're doing. It's not like, oh, a gift basket from your local retailers. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, this is a Winton and Waits experience, and they're coming just for that because that garnishes that space at the auction. But I think it's really, really important when you're donating things to understand that not only are you supporting your community, but you need to figure out how to get them back in your door. And just giving product, you just don't have any control over how that's going to be presented. And I know they say your name's on the thing and and whatever. I mean, you need to have some control over how to get those people back in your door.
So going along with what Jenna said, we don't donate product anymore any longer as well. And we get asked for everything. We'll donate a product if it is a really good customer that comes in. We'll be like, here's a candle or something. And it's usually, honestly, it's our testers. That's what we'll do. We'll get a tester candle from Capri Blue or whoever it is. We save those in the back. We don't burn them in the store, and we tie it up really cute. We take the tester sticker off, because we try to purchase that at half of wholesale, right? So we'll keep those. But what we have started doing instead is we have a little paperwork, and it is a fundraising opportunity. So when they come in and they ask us for a candle or some kind of donation, they're like, even $25, we have this little sheet, and we pull out and we say, why do you want $25 from us when you could get $2,500 by hosting a shopping event in our store?
So good.
So we do the shopping events, and we give back. We will donate back because we believe partnership with our community is huge. The community is what kept us alive during COVID, right? We were scared every single day. We were praying, Lord, how are we going to get sales during this time, right? And our community came out and they supported us big time. So that generated the idea of, why don't we have these community shopping nights? So their organization gets a list, a sheet of paper, and it tells them, send out an email to your people a week ahead of the time. Send out, put it on your Facebook page a week ahead of time. Send it out. We have like this we give them all the instructions of how to have a successful event. And then we tell them, if your event reaches, there's like 3 different levels that we'll donate 15, 20, up to 25% of the sales during that time back to your organization. And we just had one on, what was it, Tuesday night that was huge. It was a Mahjong party, Mahjong for Memories, with the Tulsa chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. And they had a huge, we had over 100 people come in just for their event. They made a lot of money, and we got people that had never been in our store. So we don't, and anymore, we don't really donate those single items to, even if it's a cheerleading squad, we call them spirit nights, have a spirit night at our store. And we tell them, do it around a holiday. Like somebody wants to decorate for fall, this is a perfect time for them to come in. They spend money on decorations. You get money for your charity or your, your club. So.
Yeah, that's so good. We do the same with partnering with nonprofits and having them host evenings at our store too, because it's that same thing like we do with the artists and whatever. We're both bringing in a crowd of people that love and support each one of us. And then each one of us has an opportunity to advocate for the other one. So, yeah, so good. I'm taking,
one more thing that I know that Amber does too, is I love it's, and it's so unusual, but Amber, could you share how with your community, how you attract incredible crowds through the way you decorate?
Well, we want to make our store, thank you, Kathy. We want to make our store an experience, definitely. And that's, what it's all about. People can buy, one of our managers says, she uses this phrase, she says, people can buy underwear at every store in town. Why do they want to buy underwear from us? Well, we don't even sell underwear, but it's the concept of, why do we want people to come into our store, right? They could buy everything we have online, Amazon, and it's about the decorating and it's the experience. Like, we really want our store to be beautiful and amazing. We had a Christmas store this last year, and we wanted it to feel like you were at a Christmas store in New York City. It's very, very important. So it's coming back to that experience. Like Jenna said, we just try to make that experience visually as well in our store with huge displays that are just almost overwhelming. Like we want them to feel overwhelmed because we tell them, yeah, you're gonna have to come back 5 or 6 times. You can't see it all today. It's kind of almost our tagline, and it happens. I mean, we're having an event actually tonight at the store, a grand reopening at one of our locations because we did a bunch of remodeling and we signed a new lease. So we're doing a grand reopening for it. And, we really promote it heavily. And one of the things that we do is we have a swag bag. And our customers know the first 50 people in are going to get a swag bag. And our swag bags are usually pretty good. I mean, they're usually a $50 at least gift inside. And that's sometimes donations or products that maybe were some dogs that didn't sell real great. I mean, not every swag bag is exactly the same, but it gets them there. We have a line almost every single time when we open our doors for the grand reopening event. So it's a big deal. I mean, there's usually at least 50 people waiting in line because they want to get those tickets and they want the swag bags. So, yeah.
Now, when you're organizing all these big events, I mean, obviously y'all have a lot going on. Jenny, you talk about you plan out your 12 make and take classes ahead. Amber, you've got Blingo planned out. And I know we talked a little bit about using like Eventbrite and things, but I wanted to talk too on the marketing side a little bit. Like Amber, how would you suggest folks go about like organizing, keeping up with all of these promotions, all of these online advertisements? Are there some tools that are good for that you've seen on the marketing side, and then maybe ladies too on the retail side for just organizing your folks to come in?
Sorry, I didn't know which Amber you were asking.
So on the marketing side, I guess, Amber, if you could speak there's 2 Ambers, that doesn't help. Amber at Matchstick Social. Yeah, just talk a little bit about maybe marketing tools that would be good for the retailers that are looking to dive into advertising. They want to get into these events. And then 2, on the retail side, Amber and Jenna, how y'all organize these events amongst your folks.
Wonderful. So the first thing I want to tap into is looking at the data you have, all the historical data you have, so that you can assess what your goal should be. If you benchmark, what has my cost per click been prior to this, promotion that I'm doing or this event that I'm doing? What does my conversion data look like? How many people come to my site and what do they shop? Do they click and leave? Do they add to cart and leave? If you can kind of digest some of those metrics, you can back out what you should spend based on what you want your result to be. So for example, if your average cost per click on a social ad up to this point has been, 60 cents, then you can say, okay, and 60 cents, I want 300 people to respond so that 100 people actually show up. That's quite a good conversion rate, but you get what I'm saying, trying to use whole numbers here. Then you can say, okay, I need to spend X in order to get those people. So that's number 1. Number 2, the most important thing is tracking as much as possible. Events and foot traffic are the hardest thing to track because notoriously people are very bad at self-reporting where they saw the event or where they heard it from. They'll always tell you, Google, the internet. And you're like, you did not see this on Google. You saw this because your aunt put it on Facebook and you know what I mean? But they don't know because we see 10,000 marketing messages a day. So who can blame them? So if you can negate the ability to rely on all of your customers to tell you where they heard from you, that's the best option. So what we use is Google Analytics as much as possible we put code on every single link that we put out there so that we can track who's coming to what page on our site. If you can possibly host an event on a landing page of your site so that you are able to track it, it's far more easy to see the actual journey rather than something like an Eventbrite or something like that. However, Eventbrite is super easy. It has an integration with Facebook ads, and it helps because it has those automated reminders and it takes some things off your plate as well. So there's pros and cons to both, but we usually try to encourage all of our clients, if we're going to be tracking events, sales, leads, any of it, we want to make sure that we can host as much as possible on the site itself. And then lastly, I would say, it sounds silly, but this is old school. If it's a promotion or something that's going to be in store, a lot of times we'll say, ask for Pam or ask for Deb or whatever. And Pam and Deb don't exist, right? But that person is like, oh, I know where you heard about us now. As opposed to them saying, I heard about you on the internet. It's like, okay, well, Pam was from our live. So I know you saw us on Facebook Live, or we said, come in and ask for the blah blah for 20% off on Facebook stories or Instagram stories. So now I know that you saw us on those stories. You can kind of get a little creative there.
Genius.
I was gonna say, I have not heard the Pam or Deb before. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do use anytime we assign a coupon code to an event or something, or even like if we're partnering with, an influencer or something like that, like we make sure that they have a unique code and that any event has a unique code. So if we're offering anything like, hey, use this in the next 30 days for 15% off your online purchase. Well, if somebody comes in and uses a 15% off, well, was it our, just general 15% that we give, to be friendly to people, or was it specifically tied to that event or specifically tied to that influencer? Because any of that partnership stuff, I think it's really important data, like she was saying, to have to know, do I continue in that partnership, or is that something that's just not mutually beneficial? And you don't know that if you don't have any data.
I will say with influencers specifically, we do a ton of influencer marketing for some of our clients. And I have noticed in the last year and a half to 2 years, especially, and it's just been a general uptick of people see things from influencers and they come to the site to shop, or they come in to shop from the influencer, but they almost never use the code. Even if they click directly from the affiliate link and it takes them right there, they never type in that damn code. And I think it's because we are so inundated with promotion. And all we really glean from it is like, I need to shop here. This is a place people are shopping. They have cool stuff and I need to be a part of it. So it is interesting. I wonder if it's going to continue that way, or people are going to get a little bit more savvy, but I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's happened so many times where like, it'll be on the homepage even, but unless it's in the cart where it says like 15% off with code new shop, people just don't use it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So speaking of influencer marketing, we do twice a year. We host influencer parties at our store. And this is something, again, we consider it advertising, right? So it's part of our advertising budget. And we throw a big party at our store. We give influencers swag bags, we give them food, and we ask them to post. I mean, we have a little sheet when they walk in. It's like, thank you for coming to our party. Here's the 5-6 things we want from you. And we have local influencers that come, and we usually do that before a big event, like before our spring open house or before our Christmas open house. That's open to the general public. We host this little private event for influencers, and usually we have somewhere between 25. Our goal is to try to get 50 local people. And, influencer doesn't just mean they're a social media influencer. It's like we ask our our news channel anchors, we personally invite them, TV personalities, anything like that. Anybody that has big list of friends, that's who we invite for our influencer, right? So, and then we also use the old school Facebook. Facebook events, because every single thing we do, we create a Facebook event for, because we believe that sadly, people are still like sheep. Like, we want to know what everybody else is doing. That's why influencer marketing even works, right? So if somebody sees that their friend is going to our party, then they're going to want to go to our party, and that kind of a thing. So we do a lot with that as well, as far as how we get the word out about things and inviting people to come.
And Facebook is great because they have a really good algorithm for reminders too. Like, they'll send people notifications a week out and a day out. So that is also helpful. It's something else you don't have to do manually.
And I wanted to say too, so we are taking questions live. I forgot to mention at the beginning there, but for anyone who's watching that has questions, we'll have one that just came in. I know, Amber, you talked a little bit about finding the folks, like even just like local personalities, like newscasters and things like that. But how do you all find like influencers to work with in marketing, or even just in your stores, like for your events?
I'm on social media all the time at night. That's what I do. And I'm looking, and I'll take note, I'll take screenshots. We have a marketing meeting every Monday where we have like a marketing committee, and it's through different people in our store, and that are in leadership, and we go over those things, and we decide, who's really up and coming, who we've seen do this and that, who shops with us regularly, right? Because if they already shop with us, like for example, we had Garth Brooks' ex-wife come in, and the girls are like, do you know Sandy Brooks? I was like, no, but that's really interesting. I wonder how we could reach out to her. You know, anybody like that we could reach out and invite them. It's like, hey, we feel privileged that that you shop with us, and we want to continue that, and we want all your friends to shop with us. So we try to make notes of that and remember like who we're going to invite to these events. And that's why we do have that separate little party that's kind of an exclusive deal that they feel like, oh, I'm invited this, like I'm really somebody because this is a VIP event type of thing.
Also, so if you're kind of a relatively new retailer and you're looking for relatively new or up and coming influencers, you can actually just put out a call to say, we're looking for influencers, we're looking for brand ambassadors, whatever, you know, fits your brand most. And a lot of times you'll get people who are trying to build their community. And a lot of times influencers want to look like they're sponsored, even if they aren't. So they'll do it for trade because they're wanting to build credibility and look like they have sponsors. So they'll say, yeah, I'll take a few candles, I'll post about it, you know? So that's a great way too. If you're like, I really don't have time to spend hours scouring hashtags and all of that, A, you can hire a marketing team, but B, if you don't want to, you can just put out a call and you'll get people for sure.
Yeah, agreed. I think the idea that you just brought up about doing a trade, sometimes it feels like really overwhelming. I don't have a budget for that, or I don't know how to find the right people. We actually struggle just to find people that we feel like their voice would represent us well. And there's just so many things out there. And I think when you really know what your lane is and who your demographic is, it also narrows, you know, who you want to interact with in that way. But I like the idea of just starting with a product trade. Like, hey, can I, you know, give you this product, or can I trade you this, whatever, or give you this gift certificate to use in store? That's a great way to even test out a relationship and see if it's worth financially investing in. If it comes back to you in any way, then maybe you can further that relationship. It's such a great way to start when you're talking about, you know, connecting and partnering with people, because you want to make sure that they're representing your brand well. Even if they have a bajillion followers, if they don't represent you well, it doesn't matter. It's not your audience.
Or if they represent you well, but the next day they're talking about someone else, and the next day they're talking about someone else, and the next day, it's just like, okay, we need someone who's authentically a part of our community and who wants to be a part of our brand and not just hawk a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, agreed. One of the things that I wanted to go back to, I wrote a little note that Amber has said a couple of times, and I just think it's so important and it's so basic and makes such a difference. But I heard her say a few times, you know, we met somebody at the door and we had this little sheet and they da-da-da. When we have events, when we don't have events, I mean, it is so important when somebody walks in that door to recognize that they're there and to welcome them into the space and say, we're happy you're here, or whatever whatever you want to say. But just making sure that not one person walks in that door and can make a circle around your store and walk out without ever being noticed. And when somebody makes the time and sacrifices, whether it's, you know, their money or getting a babysitter or whatever they've done to come to an event at your store, we always have somebody there that's just assigned to welcoming them. I mean, it could be part of the experience. Maybe that person, we have all their swag bags. That person's giving the swag bag and a little glass, you know, little mimosa or whatever it is, checking them in. I think that process of like, I have invested in this ticket, or I've invested in something, even if it's free, but I'm being checked in. And so it feels official, like we have gone through the process of, it's important to, you know, reserve my space for this event. But I've heard you say that a few times. And I think that is so, so, so important that you welcome them and that you give them the plan. Like they're showing up, they've seen something, it's enough, whatever they've seen, it's enough to make them sacrifice their time to come. But they want to know what the plan is. Like, what do we do first? Are we supposed to shop? Am I supposed to be somewhere? And so just welcoming and giving them the plan. Hey, everybody's mixing and mingling. We've got food or drinks around the corner. Feel free at your leisure to go experience that. And then we'll start our class in about 15 minutes or whatever it is. And, you know, if you are hosting people around the store, make sure that you visit every person. If you have a game or something planned, here's how you do it. Here's your instruction sheet. Giving people a plan when they come in just helps them feel a little bit more secure. And I'm supposed to be here. I'm on the list. I know the plan. I know how to make my way around, and it just takes away some of that anxiety in the beginning. So it's simple, but it's really impactful.
I think
talk
that's
about how
circle
sorry.
of engagement.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy. I was going to say we're out of time. I will say we've already pushed past our time. I'm sorry, everyone. But I would say that just really completes the circle of engagement. And I wanted to thank you ladies all for coming out today and speaking with us.